Okay, that was a great video, but there's also so many LEGO sets that were poorly timed. A lot of times because of tragedies. The LEGO Architecture Las Vegas Skyline set 21038 never came out and was replaced with a remade version 21047. Why? Well, according to leaks in 2017, the Las Vegas Skyline set was supposed to release on January 1st, 2018, along with the Shanghai Skyline. But when the day came around, the Shanghai Skyline was the only set of the two to release. Later that January, pictures of the set leaked, which point to the clear reason for cancellation. The set included a build for the Mandalay Bay Hotel. On October 1st, 2017, a mass shooting took place in the Las Vegas Strip when a gunman situated on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel opened fire at a crowd in the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival, killing 60 people and injuring at least another 413 people. The revised version of the LEGO set actually released in September 2018, where the Bellagio Hotel replaced the Mandalay Bay Hotel in the build. Some copies of the cancelled original set still managed to leak into some independent stores across the world and now go for a lot of money. The LEGO City Elite Police sets were never released by the name Elite Police in the United States. Instead, the final sets were retitled under LEGO Police, to the point of LEGO scrubbing their sites of the original US boxes. The sets were supposed to release on September 1st, 2020 in the US LEGO shop, but the day went by with no word. The sets were quietly released late that September. Why all of this havoc for something that could be seen as innocuous? Well, summer 2020 was a huge turning point in the world's perception of police and police brutality, starting with the death of George Floyd on May 25th, 2020, who was killed by police officer Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis, Minnesota, during the arrest of Floyd's use of a counterfeit $20 bill. The policeman pressed his knee on Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 20 seconds while Floyd was handcuffed in the street. The incident was recorded on a cell phone video and spread online, and this led to huge protests across the world against police brutality and racism. LEGO initially responded to these protests by pausing advertisement for a lot of police sets, but also some other sets that might seem sensitive to the topic. This was around the time of Blackout Tuesday, a related organized online protest on June 2nd, 2020, and then announcing their intentions to donate $4 million to organizations supporting Black children and to other organizations meant to educate children about racial equality. So yeah, releasing a theme called LEGO City Elite Police so soon after these events in the following fall can come off daft and in bad taste, so the name change and delay had to happen. The LEGO Overwatch 2 set was also cancelled right before its planned release on February 2022 due to allegations of sexual harassment and discrimination against women at Activision Blizzard. There was an official statement issued by LEGO on this set, surprisingly, saying, "We are currently reviewing our partnership with Activision Blizzard, given concerns about the process being made to address continuing allegations regarding workplace culture, especially the treatment of female colleagues, in creating a divisive and inclusive environment. While we complete the review, we will pause the release of a LEGO Overwatch 2 product, which was due to go on sale on February 1st, 2022. I feel like this is especially interesting since a lawsuit was filed by the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing against Activision Blizzard back in June 2021 for the previously stated reasons, yet the paused release of this happened so last minute, some copies made it into independent retailers in January 2022. Which is how I got my copy of the set. I've covered the incident around set 6776 Ogel Control Center before, but basically this set was released in March 2001 and had to have an aspect change due to the September 11th, 2001 attacks, spotted initially on Rock Raiders United back in the day. A comic included in the set's instructions showed Ogel planes, Ogel being the main villain of Alpha Team, dropping bombs on normal citizens, making them into mindless skeleton soldiers. It's honestly kind of dark for the 8 to 12 range of the set. The innocent civilians are never shown being transformed back. Sometime after 9/11, new copies of the set changed the two panels following the plane taking off, instead having Agent Dash skirmish with Ogel at the sea, but this is still followed by the same shot of skeleton soldiers from the original comic. The LEGO Star Wars The Mandalorian Imperial Light Cruiser set, which released on August 1st, 2021, always felt like it had poor timing. The set is the last set to include the Cara Dune character. This set released months after Lucasfilm announced the firing of Gina Carano, the actress who plays Cara Dune, for posts she shared on Instagram comparing hating somebody for their political views to persecuting Jews in the Holocaust. Lucasfilm made a statement on her firing, saying Carano's social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. I feel like if this firing had come a couple months earlier, the Imperial Light Cruiser would exclude her character, but it was already so late into production. The minifig is the same version from the first LEGO set for The Mandalorian ever, the full 2019 AT-ST set. Those last few entries had a lot of heavy aspects mentioned from tragedies. The next few are a lot lighter and less serious. I feel like the LEGO Overwatch 1 sets were poorly timed because of how late into the first game's lifespan they were released. The game was initially released in May 2016, and the first wave of LEGO's 6 sets were released in January 2019, and another wave of 2 sets came out in October 2019. And that was all we got from LEGO Overwatch until the aforementioned LEGO Overwatch 2 debacle 3 years later. I think the lack of 2020 and 2021 sets definitely pointed towards sales being lower than expected, and it makes sense. Look at the Google search trends for Overwatch, reaching a peak Google search popularity during the initial game's life before the sequel in May 2016, January 2019 being nearly a fifth of its popularity, which mostly continued to wane until the sequel released. There were 3 sets that were rumored to come out initially in 2020, and the rumor kept persisting that they would come out into late 2022, which were Set 76978 Orisa and Effie, Set 76979 Battle for Rio, and Set 76981 Talent Dropship. No pictures of these have leaked to this day, and that's really all the info we have of these sets. LEGO Legends of Chima is a LEGO theme which ran from 2013 to 2015, and it's mostly been forgotten. And I think the reason it didn't really catch on is in part because of the public's perception of it being a replacement for LEGO Ninjago at its introduction, which was an already popular LEGO theme getting bigger and bigger at the time of the start of LEGO Chima. Both Chima and Ninjago were action themes introduced with similarly animated TV shows and a ton of sets with gimmicks unseen from LEGO. Ninjago got spinners, Chima got speeders, but I think the biggest factor in LEGO Chima being seen as something that was trying to be a Ninjago killer at the time comes down to poor timing. The IP was introduced in January 2013 alongside the release of a Ninjago line called The Final Battle, all of it pointing towards Ninjago ending. The Final Battle sub-theme had a total of 6 sets released in January 2013, and that was it for the rest of 2013 for Ninjago, aside from a crummy LEGO Store exclusive battle pack. There weren't even any episodes that were new for Ninjago in 2013. I still believe LEGO was really ending Ninjago, but saw their own mistakes with the fans' responses and rushed out the 2014 sub-theme, which had the on-the-nose name of Ninjago Rebooted. But I mean, there was also androids in this sub-theme. Get it? Another instance of a minifigure making it into a set because of some poor timing comes with LEGO Minifigures Marvel Studios Series 2, where we surprisingly got an Echo minifigure based on the appearance from her Disney Plus show. See, the Echo Disney Plus show is the first Marvel Studios show to be TVMA, and LEGO has made it clear that they will never make sets specifically tied to TVMA shows in R-rated movies. As Sydney Freeland, the producer and director of most of the Echo episodes, said in an interview with Deadline, "We did not set out to make a TVMA show, but we did know it was going to be grounded. It was going to be gritty. It was going to be a little more visceral and street level, and the question was just, how far can we go?" I guess LEGO just assumed the show would be a TV PG or TV 14 like every other Disney Plus show before it. I mean, they could have made Echo a figure in her Hawkeye show outfit, one that fits LEGO's content guidelines. But like a couple of other sets on this list, the CMF series was too far into production when the decision was made to make Echo a TVMA show, and little could be done aside from canceling this massive set release. Finally, I want to talk about movie LEGO sets released too early due to LEGO planning their release date before the film was delayed, with the LEGO sets being too far into production. There's a bunch of these, so I'll just cover the 5 biggest gaps. The Wonder Woman 1984 movie had a bunch of release date pushbacks during the pandemic, getting a final release date of Christmas 2020, yet the original LEGO set came out 7 months and 28 days before the release of the film, on April 27, 2020. The light tie-in LEGO ECTO-1 set for Ghostbusters Afterlife was seemingly released in coordination with the film's second release date on March 5, 2021, which was later pushed 3 more times to a final release date of November 19, 2021. The LEGO set itself released a whole year and 4 days before then, on November 15, 2021. However, the third biggest gap between a LEGO set's release and movie release wasn't even a COVID situation. It was for 2 LEGO The Hobbit Desolation of Smaug sets. The Hobbit trilogy of films were supposed to be a duology, but in July 2012, director Peter Jackson announced the films would be made into a trilogy. So with 2 out of the 6 wide-release minifigure Hobbit on Unexpected Journey branded sets releasing December 1st, 2012, LEGO ended up having to put a special notice that the 2 sets were special trilogy preview sets, the Escape from the Mirkwood Spider set and the Barrel Escape set. The 2 were based off of scenes from the first film when it was planned to be part of a duology, but were moved to be scenes to the second film when it became a trilogy. These 2 sets were released a whole year and 12 days before the release of the second movie, The Desolation of Smaug, on 13th of December 2013. The gap between the Black Widow LEGO set and movie is an even crazier 16 months, where the set's March 2020 release date was seemingly tied to the original 2020 release date. Well, after a ton of delays due to the pandemic, the movie was finally released in July 2021. However, the biggest gap were the Minions The Rise of Gru sets, which had an initial wave of 2 sets, the Build-A-Minion and Unstoppable Bike Chase set, released on April 27, 2020. The Rise of Gru was delayed a crazy amount of times because of the pandemic, having an initial release date of July 2020, finally releasing in theaters July 1st, 2022, nearly 27 months after the set's initial release. Oh my gosh. If any of that information for that entry sound familiar, you're a dedicated Just2 fan, because I had a whole list video on the biggest gaps between movie releases and their LEGO set releases. Check it out if you want to hear more. Thanks again to YouTuber voyan for the idea of this list. Subscribe to my channel, Just2Good, for LEGO lists and more fun LEGO videos. Liking this video and leaving a comment helps me out so much in the troubling algorithm. I'll see you later. Peace out. Bye.